Sometimes, dreamers dream a little too big. From bold plans to develop a futuristic highway system that would be able to generate electricity from the road, to the $12 billion skyscraper that would have been twice as tall as the Burj Khalifa. Here are 5 of the biggest mega projects that were never actually built, or at least met so many delays that finishing them feels impossible. The trek from Sacramento to San Diego is a journey Californians know all too well. By car, the 504-mile ride should take just over 8 hours, and that's on a perfect, traffic-free day. You can also catch a 90-minute flight between both international airports. In 2008, Californians voted for a third option to see the journey done in just over 2 hours while stopping in LA and San Francisco along the way. At 220 miles per hour, or about as fast as your average Formula One car, the project was something many Californians used to dream about. With that vote, the California HighSpeed Rail project came to life. A proposed $33 billion high-speed train, fully operational by 2030. The project even got a little bit of White House funding after the Department of Transportation awarded them an extra $6 billion. Sadly, over a decade of setbacks, mismanagement, and global pandemics made the California high-speed rail something we'll have to keep dreaming about. As of 2022, the projected cost of the railway exceeds $105 billion. Unfortunately, they only have about $9 billion to work with. There is some good news, however. Construction on a 119-mile stretch connecting Bakersfield to LA should be finished in the next few years. With a little under 400 miles to go, you're better off packing snacks and mapping your bathroom breaks. Californians maintain hope, though, as 56% of voters supported continuing the project against 35% who figured it was a lost cause. The other 9% are probably happy making the drive or don't mind dropping a few $100 on a plane ticket. One spokesperson from the project believes connecting Silicon and Central Valleys should generate almost $50 billion for the state. Still, the California high-speed rail remains in "I'll believe it when I see it" limbo. The Keystone Pipeline is one of those politicized buzzwords that ultimately failed. From Bush to Biden, the Keystone XL pipeline started and stopped several times, resulting in costly delays and billions in added cost. Today, construction on the pipeline has stalled as the debate over its existence rages on. So, how did we get here? In 2008, TransCanada proposed an 875-mile pipeline to link Alberta, Canada with Steel City, Nebraska. The plan was to transport crude oil from fields in Montana down to Nebraska. From there, it would head off to oil refineries along the Gulf Coast. Perhaps their first mistake was using oil and Gulf Coast in the same sentence, as the BP oil spill happened only 2 years later. However, to build such a pipeline, one needs permission from the president himself. President Bush's State Department shot down the idea, and Obama wasn't a friend to it either. So, TransCanada bided their time until a particular oil-friendly businessman assumed the presidency. President Trump greenlit the $8 billion pipeline that promised to create 42,000 jobs and increase GDP by $3 billion. 4 years later, President Biden killed the pipeline on his first day in office, along with other projects that did not serve U.S. national interest, as he puts it. After months of back and forth between Canadian and U.S. officials, a major player in the Keystone project backed out. TC Energy, the North American company overseeing the project, officially pulled out, killing the Keystone Pipeline for good. While many were upset over the cancellation of Keystone, only 8% of the pipeline had been built, so it wasn't as large of a loss as it could have been. In total, the government of Alberta, Canada had already invested $1.3 billion of taxpayer money into the project. an investment that Premier Jason Kenney knew was a gamble. What are your thoughts on the pipeline? Should it have been built? Let us know in the comments. Now, we all know Shell as the multi-billion-dollar company we occasionally buy gas from. However, the London-based megacorporation has some serious plans for the future of global roadways. And they look a little bit like Mario Kart. No, they don't expect us to throw bananas at each other. By 2050, Shell envisions a world where we're generating electricity from our roads. They're currently working with a tech company called PaveGen, which has already developed tech to convert your footsteps into energy. In theory, the same tech could be applied to highway systems across the planet, meaning you'd be generating electricity by driving to and from work. Shell also imagines a future that eliminates the need for street lamps, since the highway itself would act as a source of light. It would also act as a smart highway that could send real-time data about disrepair. Now, putting a price tag on Shell's highway of the future is impossible. While the idea sounds pretty good in theory, the technical issues make it a far-off dream. Would they treat existing roadways with this smart tech, or are we talking about a complete infrastructural overhaul? Both options sound pretty expensive, with the latter sounding downright impossible. In 1957, an American architect named Frank Lloyd Wright came up with the idea for a mile-high skyscraper. He called it the Illinois and imagined it as the Eiffel Tower of Chicago, the Empire State Building of the Windy City, the Burj Khalifa of the South Side. The 528-story building would facilitate parking for 15,000 cars and apparently 100 helicopters. It would include 76 elevators and cover a gross floor area of over 18 million square feet. From street to antenna, the Illinois stretched 5,706 feet. If it was ever built, the Illinois would be the tallest building in the world, more than 4 times taller than the Empire State and twice as tall as the Burj Khalifa. So, is it actually happening? No, it's not. But some say we could see mile-high skyscrapers as early as 2050. So how long would you spend in a mile-long elevator? The average elevator speed for a 10-story building is about 2 miles per hour. So if the elevator blasted off at 2 miles per hour, which would be enough to knock you off balance, it would take you 30 minutes to reach the top. And that's if you didn't make any stops. However, in Guangzhou, China, the CTF Finance Center recently broke elevator speed records traveling at 46.9 miles per hour. The fastest elevator in the US is in One World Trade and travels at 22 miles per hour. So, assuming we used US tech, it would still take just under 3 minutes to reach the top. Now, since there aren't any serious plans to build the Illinois, it's hard to put a price tag on the project. For reference, One World Trade Center cost about $4 billion, and that stands at 1,700 feet. So, if the Illinois were about 3 times taller, we can assume it'd cost about $12 billion to pull off. I believe in America. The iconic opening line to Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. As a nation built by immigrants who believed anything was possible in America, building a 1,900-mile wall across the US-Mexico border was never going to happen. Still, President Trump mentioned the wall over 200 times during his 2016 campaign. Once he got into office, construction began. While he was in office, construction crawled at a snail's pace. It began in April of 2014, when the Donald first mentioned building a border like nobody's seen before. 2015 is when he said Mexico would pay for it. No matter what side of this debate you fall on, the astronomical cost of building such a wall was questionable. In some areas, building even a 1-mile-long stretch came with a price tag of $46 million. In total, the project would have cost the taxpayers $21 billion. Once he got into office, President Biden put the kibosh on further wall construction, canceling any wall-related projects paid for with Pentagon funds. Today, about $250 million worth of steel panels are rusting in the southwestern borderlands. Work sites in Texas also had problems with theft after someone made off with $1 million worth of materials. Most of these materials go widely unprotected, and guarding them has become politicized itself. Was the wall ever feasible? Sam Nunberg, aka the guy who came up with the idea, had mixed emotions. On the one hand, he said the wall was more of a symbol, something that was easier to digest for voters than complex immigration policies. On the other hand, he still wants to see it built. As for the 450 miles that were built, we don't imagine President Biden will be shouting, "Tear down this wall," anytime soon. It's probably hard to see your dream project go up in flames. But with billions of dollars down the drain, we can't help but wonder if they could have spent this money on something else. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one.